Hello, Movati. My name is Carol. I'm going to teach you a 45-minute Pilates class today. So welcome. Pilates is a series of floor work exercises that we do to strengthen the core. So your core being anywhere between your shoulders and your hips. So that would involve exercisements or movement patterns that engage your abs and also engage your hip muscles and sometimes some of your shoulder muscles as well. Now, Pilates is very precise, it's full of grace, and it involves mental concentration. So you have to be here in the moment, like in yoga. And we want to think about, in class, many different coaching tips I'll give you today, but making sure that you brace your core, drawing that navel in towards the spine. We also want to pull up our pelvic floor muscles and try to engage our inner thigh muscles as well. I'm going to take you through a bit of a warm-up first, and then we'll proceed through a series of exercises today that will help you strengthen your core for daily movements in life, for any sports that you play. Pilates is great for just about everything. All right, so let's get started. So grab your mat. It could be a yoga mat or your carpet or a towel. So I'd like you to come down onto your hands and knees. So first of all, let's talk about our setup. So we want to spread our fingers wide like yoga. So you want to think about getting weight through all the finger pads and sort of out of the wrist with very soft elbows. Now think about aligning your shoulders right over those wrists and having those knees right underneath your hips. So for our warm-up, we're going to start with just a cat-cow. And I encourage you to just work at your own pace. So let the movements flow for you today. So we're going to start with a nice cat-cow stretch. So think about softness through the elbows, spreading the weight out through the fingers. And we want to move our spines through flexion and extension. Now, if you have wrist issues, you do have a few options. So one option is to make a fist if you find that's too much pressure for your wrists. Another alternative is you could place your hands on a set of dumbbells. And maybe a third and final option is always to come down to your forearms as well. So let's finish with a few more cat-cows just to get that spine warmed up, getting our core a little bit warm. All right, let's return back to a neutral spine position, but bracing your abs underneath you. Now I'm going to ask you to take your left hand underneath the center of your chest and just release the right arm. We're just going to do a couple of spinal rotations. So just take that arm up and you're going to bring it back down and just touch the mat. So you're going to take the arm, keep it in line with your shoulder, palm faces away, and we're going to add some spinal rotation here. So I always encourage you to work in your own range of motion. We'll all be a little different on how we execute these movements. But the idea is just to flow, getting some spinal twisting going on here. Something we do every day in life. Let's do one more on the side. So a little bit of a rotation, and let's bring that arm back down. Now let's place that right hand under the center of the chest, soften that elbow, and just take your opposite arm and just open up through the chest. You can gaze up at that hand if you like, and just bring that hand somewhere back down to the mat. So I want you to think about your movements flowing, just like the water behind you. So our movements should be very fluid, very rhythmical. There should be no abruptness to them, no sudden movements here. Because we really want to take the time to feel our stretches and to feel the muscles we're supposed to be working through the set of exercises that I'm going to take you through today. Great, that was the last one. Now let's bring your hands to the corners of your mat. And let's widen your knees as wide as your mat. Let's just come back into a child's pose. So I want you to think about reaching your fingers to the corner of the mat and maybe sitting back into the hips the best that you can. So think about stretching up and down through the front of the shoulders, hips a little bit back. So we want to get a big stretch in that back line. Nice, let's release. Let's come back up into that tabletop position. All right, so let's get into a few core exercises here. So once again, open up your fingers, shoulders over the wrist, rolling the shoulders back. So we want to avoid in our exercises, shrugging the shoulders all the way up. Now from here, I would like you to extend your right leg straight behind you, stretching out through the back line, stretching that back toe, and trying to keeping your hips square to the floor. So imagine there's like a tray of hot chocolate on your hips, and you want to squeeze your glutes, and you want to brace your abs underneath you. Now, if you feel stable here, our next option is to release the opposite arm, thumb to the ceiling. This is called your classical bird dog exercise. So think about turning your thumb up, spreading out the fingers, and I want you to think about reaching out of the fingers and down out through the toes. So very long, contracted movement here. This is going to work on your balance and your stability, keeping those abs braced underneath you. Okay, let's release that side. So let's come down, let's reposition. So always take your time to refocus and to reposition. Now we're going to take that left leg, stretch it directly behind us, engaging all the thigh muscles, bracing the core and finding some stability. So when you feel balanced, you're going to stretch the opposite arm out, thumb to the ceiling, head in line with your spine. So you'd like your gaze to be towards the floor. So I want you to try to be as still as a statue. Pulling up the abdominals, engaging your glutes, and having tension through the arm and tension through the back line. Good, let's release. So let's once again, just come back into a bit of a child's pose. Spread out the fingers, give those wrists a little bit of a break. So let's sit back into the feet and just stretch those arms forward. All right, let's come back up to that tabletop position again. So let's layer the exercise we just did. So we're going to take that base position we just finished. So you're going to extend the right leg behind you, stretching out through the toes, bracing the abs. When you feel balanced, release the opposite arm, thumb to the ceiling. And your option would always to keep the hand down on the floor. Now at your own pace, we're just going to lower the arm and leg down 5 times on this side. So as the leg goes down, the arm goes down. And when you lift that leg up, you are squeezing your glutes. We're trying to keep our weight very centered. And you're trying to demonstrate to me some balance and stability. Let's do one more here. When you're done, bring that hand in, leg in. Let's take another little quick child's pose release. So you can press down through the front of the shoulders, sitting back into the feet. And if you can't sit back into the feet, you can certainly keep those hips a little bit elevated. Nice. So let's come back to that tabletop position. So knees underneath the hips, shoulders over the wrist. Now stretch out that left leg, trying to keep that hip turned down, engaging all the muscles in your back line. So when you feel stable, stretch out the opposite arm, thumb to the ceiling. And once you feel like you have your balance, you're just going to lower the arm and leg down together. So every time you lift that back leg up, I want you to think of the glutes as the engine. So your leg is moving because your glutes are making the legs move. Now I lost count here, but we'll just do one more after this. Okay, let's come back and take a child's pose release. So just stretch those fingers forward, try to press down through those front muscles. All right, let's change the focus a little bit. So let's come lie on our stomach. We're gonna do a little spinal extension work. People often think about just working the front line, the abs, but it's also important we work those deep stabilizing muscles that are sort of at the base of the spine. So we're gonna lie on our mat with our legs maybe hip width apart or mat width apart. And I'd like you to keep the legs down. Now we're gonna bring our hands to the mat, and I call these back crunches. So you're gonna put one hand on top of the other, and you're gonna place your forehead on the back of your hands, so not your chin. Now keeping your legs down as the anchor, bracing your abs underneath you, we're gonna do 10 back crunches very slowly. So what you're gonna do first is take a big breath in, and as you exhale, you're just gonna lift a little bit up, keeping the legs down, and you're gonna lower back to the mat. So you can exhale as you come up, and then inhale as you come down. So we're gonna do 8 more. So again, you can work at your own pace here. So you wanna think about stabilizing through the hips and pelvis, keeping the legs down, bracing your abs underneath you. And the range of motion doesn't have to be very high. All we want to do is put some tension in those lower back muscles. So think of your movements being very fluid. Let's do 2 more. All right, let's take a child's pose release. Either a wide angle or a narrow child's release. Just getting that spine to relax a little bit. All right, let's lie back on our stomachs again. And let's take the focus into the core in the front, well, the back as well. So we're gonna do a little forearm planks. I gotta ask you to open up your shoulders. Doing this position often encourages the shoulders to shrug, so try to keep it very open. Now bring your legs together, extend your head out of your spine, and we're gonna come in to a forearm plank. Now, lots of things should be happening here. You should be squeezing your glutes, engaging all your thigh muscles, relaxing through the shoulders, keeping the collarbones wide, extending the head out of the spine. And an option is always to release the knees down, but still maintaining that abdominal brace. And again, not forgetting to breathe, so just normal breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's do 10 more seconds, team. So think about pulling that belly button up and keeping that spine in a neutral position. Nice, let's release. Let's do a quick stretch. So just stay on your forearms. We're gonna open up that abdominal wall, or if you wanna go a little higher, that's fine as well. All right, let's go back and work our glutes a little bit. So we're gonna come down, and we're gonna keep our head down. So you can put your forehead on the mat, or you can look right or left. Hands can be beside you, palms down, or underneath the hip bones if they're bony. Now, we're going to just lift the legs up. So you have a couple options here. We can do a double leg lift. It's sort of like locust from yoga, or we can alternate singles. But when you lift up the legs, make sure your glutes are the engine. So that contraction is letting your legs lift up off the floor. So you're going to take a big breath in, and as you exhale, just lift up the legs. And then as you inhale, just lower them down. So we're going to do 9 more doubles, or your option is 5 singles on each side. So another option is to alternate singles. So think about the upper body being very relaxed, keeping tension in the glutes, focusing on keeping your abs braced underneath you. Now again, I've lost count, but we're going to do either after this one, 2 more doubles, or you can do 2 more singles. Great, let's come and take a release. So again, any kind of child's pose release. Taking some nice slow breaths right here. All right, let's change the focus again. So I'm just going to slide my mat around so it squares to the camera. So I'm going to ask you to lie on your right side and line up your body with the back of the mat. We're going to do a little bit of the hip series from Pilates with a few variations. Now, you can rest your head in your hand, or the head can come all the way down. I would like you to pike your legs to the bottom corner of your mat. Align your shoulders, align your hips, maintain that abdominal brace, and keep the arm in front. This will help you maintain that quiet upper body position. Now stretch that top leg. It should be tight, like an elastic band. So we're going to do the letter D 5 times. You're going to lift the leg up, knee faces forward, then we're going to circle the leg around. So think of a stick and then a half of a semicircle. So I imagine there's like a crayon between my toes, and I'm drawing the same letter. I'm tracing the same letter. So one more this way. All right, let's change the direction. So a little bit of a circle, and then drop the stick. So we want to make sure we keep tension in the leg. And we want to make sure we keep that top hip aligned over the bottom hip. We got 2 more here. Now hold that leg out. You're going to draw me 10 small circles, maybe the size of a tennis ball, lacrosse ball. So again, that leg has tension. I'm going to do 10 circles in one direction. And the other way. Are you feeling that hip? So we're trying to strengthen our hip rotators, our outside hip muscles here. We got 5 more. All right, nice. Drop that leg over, give it a quick release. You can tuck that leg up and in, or you can take it up to this kind of a stretch. All right, let's work the sort of opposing muscle. So extend the bottom leg. So you can have this leg bent like this. If you want, you can tuck it up. Now make sure that bottom leg extends right out of your hip. So you want that knee to face forward again. So all we're going to do is 10 inner thigh lifts. So you want to keep the leg off the mat. You want to maintain tension in the leg. And that knee should face forward. And don't worry about the range of motion. It's all about keeping tension through the muscle group and always working in your own range of motion. Let's do 3 more. Up. That's it. Come on. 1 more. Okay, release. Let's come up and stretch it out. So let's bring our soles of our feet together. Let's take a quick butterfly release. Maybe keeping your hands behind you, just letting those knees open up to the side. All right, team, nicely done. So of course we have to switch sides. So we're gonna come lie on your opposite side. So start lining your body up with the back of your mat, and then pike your legs to the bottom corner. Again, maintaining that shoulder and hip alignment, abdominal brace, lots of tension through the leg, and that knee facing forward. So the letter D, 5 times. So again, try to keep your movements very fluid, very graceful. Maintaining abdominal brace. All right, 5 the other way. Trace that same letter. Feeling those hip muscles? Yes. 1 more here, team. All right, hold that leg about hip height. 10 little circles in one direction. Maybe the size of a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. Trying to stretch that foot. All right, 10 the other way. Stay with me, team. I think we have 5 more. Woo! All right, let's release it. So tuck that leg over or prop it up just to give those outside hip muscles a bit of a stretch. Okay, let's extend through the bottom leg. So lift that leg a little bit up off the floor. So 10 inner thigh lifts. Again, focus on your technique. Never worry about making the movements any bigger. It's all about keeping tension in the muscle group and feeling it. We got 5 more here. Two more, team. Okay, we're done that side. So let's come again, take a quick butterfly release. Maybe hands behind you, just let your knees open up naturally, whatever your range of motion is. All right, let's draw the knees together. Now we're going to come around to a seated position. So I'm just going to take my mat and angle it a little bit again. All right, we're half done. Now we're going to focus a bit more now on the front core muscles. So I'd like you to flex your feet and bring your legs together bent. So pull up your pelvic floor muscles and imagine you're squeezing a Bristol board between your inner thighs. So I want you to engage all these muscles up along the inside with the feet flexed. Now, brace your abs, so draw your navel in like you're wearing a seatbelt. Stretch your arms out in front and kind of roll the shoulders back. We're going to practice a few what we call half rollbacks. She's going to roll back with a bit of a C scoop in your spine. So you just want to shorten the front line a little bit, some length in the back line, drawing the navel in and trying to relax the hip flexors. And you're going to come back up like the drawbridge of a castle. And again, so you're just going to take a bit of a C scoop in the spine, roll the shoulders back, keep the abdominals nice and strong, and then lifting up like someone's pulling you on a string. Let's do 3 more here. So focus on setting the shoulders down and back, extending the head out of the spine, little C scoop here, and coming all the way back up. Let's do 2 more. So again, think about squeezing that Bristol board, pulling up those pelvic floor muscles, and pulling up using your abdominal wall. Let's do 1 more. Great. Let's open up the hips. Just bring your arms up. We'll give that abdominal wall a little bit of release. Okay, you ready to add on to that? We're going to come back to that starting position. Feet flexed, pulling up the pelvic floor muscles, engaging the inner thighs, and just taking these what I call Arjun arms. Now you're going to come back into that roll back position we were just in. So a little bit of a C curve here, shortening through the front wall, leg through the back wall, maintain that abdominal brace. Now we're just going to drop the left elbow down a little bit towards the side, then come back to center. You're going to drop the opposite elbow down. 4 more each side. So here, we're going to engage your oblique muscles, which are your waistline muscles. We have 2 sets of waistline muscles. They are involved in rotation and side flexion. So anytime you twist, whether you're on the dance floor, golf swing, tennis swing, reaching behind you to get something. So you want to think about squeezing these muscles through your rib cage. Let's do 1 more each side. Lower body's very quiet. Nice. Come on up. Just open up those hips. Stretch those arms up again to release that abdominal wall. Okay, hands behind you. Bend your legs and then come up into a bit of a tuck position. So I call these V-outs. So again, they're going to help you strengthen this lower abdominal muscle that we have. Options are to do it on your forearms. If you want more intensity, the option is to take your hands away. So I'll go between all of them. So tuck your legs in. So you're going to take a big breath in. As you exhale, you're going to extend the legs and arms away from the center and then tuck it back in. So 9 more. So it can be done on your hands. If you need a bit of help, come down on the forearms, making sure you're keeping that abdominal brace. And if you want more intensity, you can take away your hand support. Give me 5 more. So you exhale as you stretch out and inhale as you come in. So you want to open up and close like an elastic band. Maybe 1 more. Okay, open up those hips again. Just stretch your arms up. All right, we're going to take it down to the floor. Just going to adjust my microphone. Okay, we're going to lie on our backs. And I would like you to extend your legs all the way up, sort of in a ballet first position. So just going to turn a little bit out from the hips. Now you want to make sure you imprint your lower spine into the mat. So we don't want the lower back to arch up off the floor. So you want to press the back down. Now extend your hands on the mat, reaching out and down through your fingertips. Now without letting your lower back release or your abs release, you're just going to lower your legs until you feel that your back is going to arch or your abs are going to push up. So that's it for me. So we're going to do 4 more here. So again, make sure you're keeping that ab connection and you're keeping that lower back imprinted. It doesn't have to be a big range of motion at all. The idea is to make your abs the engine. Think about stretching through the legs. Let's do 1 more. Nice, bend your knees. Let's take a big body stretch. Just reaching out to the 4 corners of the mat. Lengthening the spine, leg through the abdominal wall. All right, let's bend our legs again and let's stretch our legs up into the air. Now I'm going to incorporate the scissor exercise from Pilates. This is very classical Pilates. So again, we're going to lift our shoulders up off the floor. If you have neck issues, you can support the head as we do this. Again, try to lengthen the head at the spine. So what we're going to do is press the lower back down and brace the abs. So we're going to take our hands and pull one leg in, stretch the other leg out like a pair of scissors. Then we're going to switch sides. So just keep going as I coach you through this. So make sure you're pressing your lower back down, keeping the abs braced. And if you want to support your head, you can just do the leg. But again, make sure you're not pushing your chin into the chest. And don't forget about your legs. They should be stretching like a last band. So this exercise is good for your abdominals. It's also healthy for your hamstrings. How about we do 2 more each leg? All right, let's take a stretch. So again, stretch out to the 4 corners of your mat. Big lengthening here. All right, let's move on. Now bend your knees again. I'm going to give you 2 options. So first option is leg to table. So knee over hip, foot out from the knee. Second option, our legs extended. Now we're going to keep our arms down and our head down. And we call these reverse curls. So by using the contraction of your abs, you're going to lift your hips just a little bit up off the floor. So we're going to try to avoid swinging the legs. We're going to try to let the abs be the engine and just lift those hips up ever so slightly. So I want you to try 10 on your own. Option 1 is just like a little bit of a tabletop position here. Very smooth. If you want it a bit more intense, you can stretch the legs all the way up. So notice how fluid my movement is. And I'm not going very high. So we just want to lift the hips a little bit up off the floor. You can press into the palms of the hands. You can also do this in a tabletop position as well. Thinking of the lower part of your core as being your engine. Let's do 2 more. Beautiful. Let's stretch out to the 4 corners of your mat. I hope you're all feeling that abdominal wall working. All right, let's change the focus a bit. So we're going to do some bridges. So bridges are great for a lot of muscle groups. Even though you're up in a supported bridge, your abs should still be bracing. You're going to really engage the glutes. You might work the hamstrings a bit and some of those lower back muscles as well. All right, so bend your knees maybe 45 degrees and flatten out your feet. Extend your arms long on the mat, reaching down out through the fingers. Now take a big breath in as you exhale. Let's just practice a bridge first. So come up into a bridge. Now in this position, we would like to have the weight all through the shoulders, nothing in the back of the neck. We would like to get our hips a little higher than our shoulders. So you want to look like a decline bench in the gym. Also, we want our knees to track in line with the hips. The knees don't buckle out, nor do the knees buckle in. Keep holding. So it's your job to squeeze your glutes, brace your abs, and try to get those hips up in a decline bench position. We also want to keep our spine in neutral. So we don't want to arch it. We want to keep that natural arch that we have in our lower back. Okay, let's release and take a stretch. Just take a quick butterfly release. Open up the hips and breathe. All right, let's add on to that. So we already practiced the base position. So we're going to come back up into your base position. So think about bracing the abs, engaging the glutes, tracking those knees properly, extending down and out through the arms. Now at your own pace, we're going to do 10. Just lower the hips a little bit and then squeeze back at the top. So you're going to lower maybe halfway down and then squeeze at the top. So make sure those knees aren't buckling in or out. So you want to make sure you are squeezing on the up and always maintaining that abdominal brace. So think about your movements, just being very rhythmical. So the idea is that you feel every repetition that you do. It's never a race. Okay, let's do one more. All right, let's come down, release. Great, let's take a little bit of a butterfly stretch again. All right, job well done. So let's spend the last 5 to 7 minutes doing some nice stretching. So from here, I'd like you to tuck your knees into your chest, and we're just going to stretch out your spine. Now you can do a little rocking side to side, or you can make circles. You can stay quiet. So think about slowing down your breathing. All right. Let's release the left foot to the floor. Let's extend up through the right leg, getting a hamstring stretch. So you're going to flex your foot, press up through the heel. You're going to hold the leg somewhere on the back line, where you get a beautiful extension to the back of the leg. If you have a towel at home or a yoga strap, you could use that as well. Think about relaxing through the neck and shoulders. Okay, same leg, let's cross it over. Flex your foot, open up your hip. Now, you can either keep it on the mat with an easy manual push, or you can take it right up into the chest, grabbing behind, or you can just stretch your arms out. We're going to stretch through your hip rotators here. We did do some exercises to strengthen them in that hip series. So always focus on a flexed foot and just opening your hip up in your own range of motion. Okay, let's release that side. The other leg, you're going to flex and press up towards the ceiling. Best you can, try to get extension behind the leg. Because if you're always stretching with your leg bent, you're really not stretching that muscle. You can even just press it up. Let's take that leg, flex the foot, open up and take your hip rotator stretch either down or up into the chest. Slow down your breathing. Think of lengthening through your inhalations and your exhalations. Let's release that side. So drop your knees to either side, help yourselves up. And we're going to come up and do a hip flexor stretch. So let's start a tabletop position. Then you're going to bring your right leg forward and stretch your left leg back in a low lunge. So place your hand on your forward thigh. And you want to press up and through the front of the hip. Now, if you have any knee issues, your option is to pick the back knee up off the floor, or you can put a yoga block or a towel underneath that knee if it bothers you. So again, you want to press to the front of the hip. This hip flexor muscle tends to be very strong, but it tends to be very tight. Okay, let's switch sides. You're going to take the other leg forward, hands on the thigh, press into the front of that hip joint. Alternative is always that high runner's lunge. I hope you all enjoyed some of the Pilates core exercises I did today. Pilates is just really about strengthening your core. All sorts of exercises and movement patterns we can do. Great, now bring your hands down, bring that leg back. So I'd like you to curl your toes under, walk your hands in, press down into your heels. So maybe bring your feet about hip width apart, place your hands on your thighs, and kind of roll up one vertebra at a time. Nice. So let's take a parallel second position, soften the knees, and let's again stretch up over the head. So you're going to turn the palms up. Keep that abdominal brace and think about stretching the shoulders, some of the upper back muscles. Great. Let's release the left arm. Take the right arm. Let's do a little side stretch. So again, think of being in that skinny door frame. So you want to open up through the side here, keeping your shoulders square to the front. Okay, let's switch sides. So extend the arm up, soften the knees, a little side bend here. Again, trying to keep the shoulders square, avoiding any kind of forward rotation. Okay, reach it up. One more stretch. So roll the shoulders back, interlace your hands behind you, lift your chin just a little bit, and think about stretching all these anterior muscles here. And let's release. Let's take a big breath all the way in. Inhale up, and let's exhale out. One more time. Inhale up, and exhale out. Great. Put your hands together for a job well done. Thank you. My name is Carol. I hope you enjoyed this Pilates Express class, 45 minutes. I hope to see you soon with another class. Have yourselves a great day.